Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Tyambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushtivardhanam urvarukamiva bandhanan mrutyurmukshiyamamrutat. Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviyam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Shvatikkamaya Mrityormamrutangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good evening. Bagunnara andaru? Today we have in our midst Sri Arjunji. He is working as a research professor in Washington University, a regular devotee of the Mutt. I just asked him to share some of his thoughts on finding employment, how you can enhance your skills, how you can make yourself better employable. So over to Sri Arjun.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks to Swamiji. He asked me to speak a few words here. How you can enhance your skills and employment opportunities. One thought that comes to me is Swamiji asked me to compare and contrast how I'm witnessing things here in India versus in the US. One striking contrast I can make is in the US, all the citizens, including employees or like laymen, they perceive their fellow beings as some kind of fraternity or brotherhood. But here I see that people are like very dissected. I mean, they see that ma kulam okati vaadi kulam okati, like road మీద when you go on the road also you see that okay, this road does not belong to me, I can throw trash here, whereas there it's very law abiding society. So that's one striking contrast I can make. And with regards to your learning abilities and how you can improve yourself, I think the thought that comes to me is start seeing everyone as part of your own self. Don't discriminate and categorize that I belong to one group, they don't belong to me, they are not part of my family. So if you can open up your mind and start perceiving everyone as part of you, that will help. And one sloka comes to my mind that I just pulled up from the Bhagavad Gita. One day Arjuna goes to Krishna and asks, hey Krishna, what is knowledge? What is the best knowledge in the world? If someone asks you what is the best knowledge, maybe you would say maybe knowledge of mathematics. That might be the best thing. Or if someone is a businessman, he will say it's probably the knowledge of stock market. If I know how to game the stock market, then I can make lots of millions of dollars or my rupees, and then I can be rich. So maybe the knowledge of stock market is the best knowledge. But Krishna doesn't say that. Krishna says, Sarvabhuteshu yena ekam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tad jnanam viddhi satvikam. That by which one indestructible being is seen in all beings, inseparate in the separated, know that knowledge as pure. So basically, Krishna says, see me as existing everywhere. Sarvabhuteshu yena ekam bhavam avyayam ikshate. And he repeats this in another place too, where he says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapakecha Pandita Samadarshina. He says equanimity. Look at everyone, with equanimity. It could either be a great professor or a Turing Award winner or the beggar on the road. You see everyone, having the same, the godness, your own self in everyone, and then interact with them with that bent of mind. With a beggar, you probably give him a 1 rupee and then you let him go. With a professor, you probably greet him in the most respected manner, and you interact with him. So the interactions might be different, but you should realize that the same God exists in the professor and in the beggar. So that will really help you, because that if you miss that subtle thing, then you end up with the wrong thoughts and you go in the wrong direction. And I guess that is what leads to like bribery or corruption that we see more here in India than in the US. Here, everywhere you go, people they say corrupt. I have not yet come across corruption, but they say like the Indian society is very corrupt. And that happens, I guess, because we don't see that the other person who's sitting on the other side of the table, he is just a part of me. When you go to a forest and you see dewdrops on the leaves of the trees, you see that one sun getting reflected in all the dewdrops. It's not different suns. Similarly, that all the different people that you see on the road or on anywhere, it's the same Lord that shows up in every being. So one thing that will help you is, as a good person, if you want to, as a good human being, one of the important things is to see God in everything. Another thing that Swamiji wanted to tell me, to share my thoughts, is how to learn English well. Uh, how to learn English well? I guess if somebody asks me how to learn swimming well, you have to jump into the water. You can't sit on the bank of the river and say, okay, how to learn swimming well? Maybe first lift your left hand, then put your right hand, and then take a deep breath. As long as you don't jump into the water, you can't learn swimming. Similarly, how to learn English well? You have to practice English. I mean, you have to look for opportunities. How I can improve my English. When you get an opportunity, speak in English. If the other person knows English, try to start a conversation with him or her. And then maybe if you have access to YouTube or anything, try listening to news. Almost all the US news channels publish their news on YouTube, so you can look at how the news anchors are speaking English, and then try to get a feel of that. I guess that English will be slightly different from what you would be learning here, like the intonation and other things, but it still helps. So yeah, just keep practicing it, and wherever you get an opportunity, seize that opportunity, and then read books. I remember Swamiji once mentioning that we have all forgotten to read books. We just probably read until our 10th standard, our social sciences and mathematics and these regular textbooks, and then we stop reading. I guess that is where we hurt ourselves. So read books if you can grab some good books, and if you want, if you have that bent of mind, I would suggest get hold of books in our library here at our mutt, or buy books in the bookstore. I have read like several of the Swamijis, like Nikhilananda and Tapasyananda, their Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita or whatever books they have on Vivekananda complete works. These are all high standards of English. So if you can buy those, get hold of those books and start reading them, at least a few pages, that will help you have a touch with this language. And yeah. So another thing that I wanted to share was a small story uh, about seeing God in everything. So there is this story that I read where there was a dog that entered a Hindu temple. So in a temple, this was a special room in a Hindu temple where there were all mirrors. All the four sides of the room had mirrors, and then even the roof had mirrors. So everywhere the dog entered that room, and it started seeing all the four sides. It saw other dogs, because in the mirror the dog just sees its reflection. And since the dog is not as intelligent as us, it thought all the other dogs were different dogs. Now when a dog sees other dogs, it gets frightened. So it started barking at the other dogs, and it started jumping and trying to catch hold of the other dog and fight with him. But it didn't know that all the other dogs are its mere reflections. So at the end of the day, it started barking, jumping, and hitting itself against the wall, and then it just fell unconscious. And then in the evening, the priest of the temple came in, and it saw that, oh, this dog is lying there dead. So he took out the dog and threw it outside, and then he just cleaned the room. And then at the end of the day, after he had to prepare for his worship, so he again got a quick shower, and then he came in, and then he had to apply tilak. So he looked into the mirror and then applied the tilak. So the priest knows that whomever you see inside the mirror is himself. So he used that to apply the tilak, whereas the dog didn't know. So the story basically again says that you see God in everything. The dog should have seen that the other dogs it's seeing is itself. So if you are an ignorant person, then you end up making this mistake and you repent like the dog. But if you are a knowledgeable person, you will see that all the other beings you see around you are your own self. So with that story, I'll leave you.